Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. Today I have Azumi the Samurai, which comes to us from Wargamer Hot and Dangerous, who I believe are actually called Wargamer Game Studios now. They made the Anno Domini 1666 game that was on Kickstarter a while back. Anyway, so getting back to this figure, before they started Anno Domini 1666, Wargamer Hot and Dangerous here started off with a line of pinup models of girls in various famous war battle gear, for lack of better words. Anyway, the artwork here on the cover, while it is executed nicely, doesn't actually reflect what the model looks like. This is what the model looks like, and you'll see it's a much more effective piece. She's dressed much more appropriately than on the cover, and if you're like me and you enjoy playing games like Shadows of Brimstone or any kind of Japanese skirmish game, well, then you're probably in the market for all sorts of samurai of the opposite, more typical genders. So let's take a look, and it helps it has a little Godzilla-looking kaiju dude on the bottom of the base. So we have here all of the parts. Not that there's that many. Let's take a look nonetheless. So she does have a metal base topper, which is something I have not seen in a while. As the dogs start barking while I'm trying to film. Thank you, dogs. I'm assuming this indentation here is where her helmet's going to go. Obviously, that's her feet, and you can see the footprints of the kaiju there as well. Our kaiju friend, obviously Godzilla inspired, with some very tiny dorsal fins. The kabuto that's going to be sitting on the base. The scabbard, I believe. Looks like she's pulling the blade out, even though it's very hard to see it. It's very shiny. Detail looks pretty good too. No flash that I'm noticing. Her other sword, very small, very easy to lose. And then the model herself. Good detail. I want to say these were actually 3D sculpted, rendered, would be the better correct term. Rear skirt armor is going to need to be glued on there. Not too challenging. I do like the heft of it. She seems kind of diminutive at first, but actually, putting her next to my witch hunter inquisitor friend here, she's not that bad. I'm going to go ahead and put her together. The only sad thing is she doesn't have any kind of a banner on her back, but you know, that's easily remedied. We'll grab a couple other models and we'll see how she scales to some other stuff out there on the market today, especially if you are looking for some female samurai. And here we have Azumi, about 90% finished. And the only reason I say 90% finished is because I sort of kind of dropped her skirt armor in the process of building her, and I cannot find it now. Obviously, we don't have her little kaiju pet on the base because that's going to be problematic to glue. Same thing with her hat. You can ignore my glue in paint-covered fingers for the moment. It's been a bit since I started the video. Anyway, she went together pretty simple. I wish her swords were a little thicker. That's my only real complaint, is that the blades themselves, along with the scabbards, are kind of thin, and you just need to be a little bit careful putting them in there. The base itself is a little thin as well. It is kind of textured, so I'm probably going to go ahead and keep her on that. Obviously, she's glued, can't just... But giving her at least a, GW 30mm, I think it's 30. It's either 30 or 32. I can't tell which. 32, probably. Anyway, so the kaiju will come over there. Looks like Shin Gojira for some reason to me. And then the helmet will go about like that. We'll get all that painted up. But in terms of size, because that's the more important question, I grabbed a couple of random models I had handy, or at least laying around in the garage. First thing I want to do is grab one of Bad Squiddo's models. This is from their Onobugeisha line that they did a couple months, years, Kickstarters ago. Looks pretty decent. Our Wargamer Games Studio Azumi here is a little bit bigger. Grabbing some more other figures I had handy. Here's a Bushido from GCT Studios figure. I forget his name, but he comes with a cool little ninja Shiba. You can see he's a lot better scaled with her. A North Star 7 Samurai Ronin Kyoryu Buntai, or whatever they were called. Koryu, I don't remember. But anyway, you can see he's a little bit smaller than her. She's going to definitely scale up with the newer models on the market. A Warlord / Wargames Factory Samurai model with a head for the Masked Avengers. And I still wish, I really should just get some more of these heads and give them all tridents and do it up like the old Shaw Brothers movie. Moving into more modern figures, here is a Wild West Exodus figure, who I want to say was like Tomoe Gozen or something like that, but you can see here, she was on a much bigger base originally. She's on one of those big 40mm medium-sized bases for Wild West Exodus, but we went ahead and put her on a much smaller one, but they scale pretty well. Grabbing a Malifaux and Shadows of Brimstone figure, especially with this larger base, I think she's like just the perfect scale. So if you want to have multiple people running Samurai in Forbidden Fortress, for example, I think you really couldn't go wrong. Or if you want a less stereotypically feminine version of the Wandering Samurai, for example, I think this would be a nice alternative as well. Price is decent, and I know there was some limited American distribution because I got mine from the US rather than through the Kickstarter, which I followed, but sadly I'm not able to back everything. Of course, some companies want to send me stuff, I'll be more than happy to oblige them, but in the meantime, I got to pick and choose what I am picking up. So definitely wanted to get this one. I have a couple other Wargamer Studios, Hot and Loud, or whatever they're called. Hot and Dangerous, sorry, I get it right eventually. But we will definitely show off a few of the other models that I do have. Again, big plus, I think, is that despite the cheesecakey pinup style artwork of the box, it's a much more refined and traditionally dressed model itself. Not a big fan of the metal base, but, you know, like I said earlier, that's easily fixed just mounting it on something else. So overall, nice model, nice aesthetic, and, you know, it's always nice to support up-and-coming indie companies. So, with that said, I'm going to put a link down below, and I will say my farewells to you. This has been High Lord Tamerlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, and we will see you all later. Sayonara!